Hey, part two. Then we had what was probably the highlight of the night, which was Angelina Love and Awesome Kong contract signing. Angelina Love comes to the ring surrounded by security and clearly afraid of Awesome Kong. Jim Cornette immediately gets rid of security. He says, "There are referees here, they'll sort it out." But have you ever seen a referee do anything remotely effective? Anyway, Awesome Kong comes to the ring and they've signed the contract, and I like the implication here that Kong can't write because Raisha Saeed had to sign the contract for Kong, as though if Kong were to go up to the contract she'd just start hitting it. And then Angelina Love gets on the mic and delivers what I thought was a really good, funny promo in a sort of high-pitched voice, which was half scared, half patronising, and she just mocks Kong's looks and says that she says she's sorry, and that after the match she'll give Kong a makeover and then Kong can be part of My Pie Sexy. Yeah, this was pretty funny. And then Kong and Angelina shake hands. Kong starts to crush Angelina's hand. Rudy Charles tries to intervene. Rudy Charles seems to be the referee who's most prepared to get beaten up. He gets beaten up by Samoa Joe pretty much every week, and now he gets powerbombed, awesome bombed through a table by Awesome Kong, which was pretty good. Then we have Lauren and Abyss looking for Dr. Stevie. They go up to the receptionist. Lauren goes up to the receptionist and goes, "Is Dr. Stevie here?" The receptionist goes, "No, he isn't." What is the point of this segment? I mean, he's not there. Why would you possibly show me this? You've just wasted a minute of my life. What was the point? Yeah, anyway. Then we have an AJ Styles promo. Speaking of Lauren, she was really annoying me. Why does she always pull, like, these insane faces regardless of who's doing the promo? I mean, AJ's a face and she's doing this. Like, she's revolted by him. I mean, it was just so odd. AJ delivers another good promo, but why he is not wrestling over the last 2 weeks, I have no idea. That's how AJ Styles should be advertising himself, not by doing promos. You know, his promos are fine in my view. I don't think they're terrible, but he should be advertising himself by wrestling, because that's what he does well. And his promo just talks about how he's never quit again, but he knows Booker's in the same situation. Booker's never quit in his life. One of them will have to quit. And actually, these promos are making me think this might be a decent match, and hopefully it will be. Then we get Lauren again, interviewing Matt Morgan this time. Matt Morgan says he wants to join the Main Event Mafia as purely a business decision, because the Main Event Mafia are winners and he wants to be on the winning team. And then he says, why wouldn't they want me, you know, because I'm tall, basically. And yeah, then his match with Kurt Angle is next. This is a pretty good match. This is probably the second best, well, it's definitely the second best match of the night. Quite short, really, but, you know, what are you expecting? You don't get long matches on Impact. Matt Morgan gets Kurt Angle in a sort of spine buster position and rams him into the steel barricade. We get back in the ring. Matt Morgan delivers a nice backbreaker. He hits the carbon footprint for a 2 count. He goes for the Elevator, which he hasn't done on anyone for a while. Kurt Angle's a good wrestler for big wrestlers to wrestle against, I think, because, you know, he sells offense really well, but it still seems really plausible that he's going to beat them. Matt Morgan goes for the Elevator. Angle rolls through and puts on the ankle lock. Morgan gets out of it. I wish more people would tap to the ankle lock. It was basically the most over submission hold in all of wrestling, and TNA's kind of losing its potency by having no one tap out to it recently. But anyway, Matt Morgan goes for the Elevator again. Angle rolls through again, this time into a pin, and gets the victory. After the match, Angle and Morgan shake hands. Decent match. Hope Morgan joins the Main Event Mafia, even though it doesn't really make sense because he's not a past world champion or any of that, but, you know, whatever. Then we have Lauren talking to Jeff Jarrett, who delivers quite a decent short promo here. Lauren's concerned about his hamstring, but he characterises his feud with Mick Foley as a battle of wills, and he says he's not going to blink first just because his hamstring hurts. His match with Samoa Joe is next. This is not very good, as you'd expect. They brawl into the crowd, which basically just makes sure that we don't get to see how limited Joe is right now. Then we come back and Joe starts attacking Jarrett's hamstring, and then he hits his hamstring with a chair, and the referee Slick Johnson, who is an old friend of Jarrett's, as we found out in last week's episode, good continuity there, tries to stop Joe, and Joe throws him into the barricade. He continues to attack Jarrett until AJ Styles comes out, and Styles starts just pushing them, and they scuffle for a bit, and referees separate them. So it looks like they're going to have a feud again, which could be decent. I think AJ Styles is the sort of guy who could bring a good match out of Joe, even in his sort of, not so good condition. Whereas Kevin Nash, of course, is not a guy who could bring a good match out of Joe. Finally, we have Mick Foley compete in his matchup. And as I've already mentioned, his matchup is against a cardboard cutout of Rocky Balboa. Don West really annoyed me on commentary here. I actually really like heel Don West. I know a lot of people just indiscriminately hate Don West, but I don't agree. I think heel Don West is really quite good. I think his commentary throughout the night was good, and I think his commentary about Jarrett was really funny. But I didn't like this bit where he was talking about Rocky's credentials, because it just seemed so, orchestrated. It just didn't seem natural in any way. So basically we have Mick Foley beat up a cardboard cutout, which this is about the only way Mick Foley is ever going to look better than his opponent in the ring these days. And he only looked marginally better, to be honest. He hit a clothesline, a suplex, a pile driver, and then the people's elbow. He does look a little bit lighter on his feet than he did like 4 months ago. Maybe he's been training, but he still by no means looks good in the ring. And I don't think he can even take a crazy spill anymore. I think if he could take a crazy spill, it would have been in the cage match versus Sting. I think he's just done, totally done, worthless, not useful for anything except promo, which he is fantastic at. But yeah. So yeah, Foley does that. Jeff Jarrett comes out and he says, "This is the last time you've made a mockery of my show. I'm going to get that title off you." Then he attacks Foley. Then Kurt Angle comes out and attacks Jarrett. Then Sting comes out, and Angle's afraid Sting's going to turn on him like he usually does by being the good guy. But he doesn't. He just tries to play peacemaker. Foley hits Sting with a steel chair. Then Foley hits Jarrett with a steel chair. And Foley goes up the ramp and celebrates at the top. My first question is, what happened to the main event on TNA Impact? When I first started watching Impact, TNA used to always end with your featured contest for the evening. Now it almost always ends on a segment, or it'll have a match and then it'll have a segment explaining the match. That's basically what happens now. And it's shit. No one wants to see that. And this was particularly shit. This just, no one would buy a pay-per-view off the back of this. This was just, it was ludicrous at the start, and then it was boring. And it just made you think, well, either Jarrett or Foley wins, so what's the point of me even watching? Personally, I think Foley's going to win, because I think Slammiversary is the next pay-per-view, and that again will be a 5-man match. And I think basically, that's 5, sorry, I did 4. I think basically, they really don't want to put Foley in a one-on-one match as champion, so they'll have him retain the title, get to the next pay-per-view, and then have Jarrett win the title at King of the Mountain. But yeah, that's me. That's me done talking. I talked for quite a long time, even though there wasn't really a lot to say, as Jeff Jarrett said in his opening promo. So yeah, please feel free to rate this view, to comment on this review, just tell me your views, and subscribe if you wish. Okay, bye.